Hello viewers, this is a weekly program on current affairs. I'm a program host, ENAnews. Last week, Ethiopia has hosted a conference that brought together African defense ministers, military attaches, and military officers. A three-day conference that prioritized the regional and continental peace and security. Today, I have my colleagues here, Desta Kasai and Gosai Faisa. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Well, great. Before we're going to discuss in detail about this issue, let me pose a general question to Desta. What does it mean by, Ethiopia hosting such a big program or conference like this, which is a regional and continental peace and security conference that could be vital for the continent?
Well, I think, Getnet, what we have to look first is that Ethiopia is the benchmark for many of the African continental issues, say the Pan-Africanism and even the Agenda 2063 that Ethiopia has already started earlier than what it has been adopted by the African Union. So Ethiopia has been one of the paramount and predominant troop contributor of the peacekeeping missions since 1950. And to date, it is one of the, at the forefronts of the United Nations peacekeeper contributing countries. So within all this, Ethiopia is hosting various international and continental and regional conferences and so on. And in line to that, Addis Ababa is one of the metropolitan city, even the diplomatic hub next to Geneva and New York. So within all this, Ethiopia hosting this kind of defense ministers conference in Africa, it means and it shows, definitely shows, Ethiopia's commitment toward this peace and security, and even the maintenance of peace and security by Africans themselves. Recently, Ethiopia has been advocating the notion that African problems should be solved by African solutions. This is one of its commitment and demonstration that African conflicts can only be solved through African defense forces that are strongly built together. And Ethiopia has been showing that for many years through its neighbors and so on. And I think my colleague here would add to that, but it has even upgraded most of the security apparatuses, including the police forces, the defense forces, even the air force, including the cyber security. There has been a multiple of reforms in upgrading and scaling up its capability in many parts of its security apparatus. And I think this clearly shows Ethiopia's commitment, Ethiopia's aspiration for African solid and strong defense forces that can protect its peace and security across the region, even across the continent at large.
Oh, that's great. Gosai, you were part of actually the event. You gave tremendous news story reporting coverage for the event. The conference believed to be, one of the very important events that probably bring African brothers, especially the defense experts and defense ministers, to discuss the continental security affairs. So what were the major ideas of the conference in general? What's your reflection in this regard?
Okay, thank you very much, Getnet. As you may know, over the weekend, Ethiopia has organized a 3-day event, Defense Ministers Conference in Addis. And the main point of the conference was to discuss the pressing issue in the African continent and in general and East Africa in particular. There are so many pressing issues in Africa, especially conflict, insurgency, and terrorism. These are very pressing issues in Africa, and that's why Ethiopia is organized this conference by its own initiative, just to create a platform for African military officials to discuss on this point, and just to come together and set direction for creating common agenda for this issue. This is one of the points. Another issue is there are so many events on this conference. One is the panel discussion, and another issue is visit to various security institutions in Addis. During the panel discussion, one of the major points raised during the occasion was Africans need to come together in one voice, in one energy, to bring their voice to the global arena. In addition to that, they also agreed to exchange views on various areas, especially in sharing intelligence, sharing experience, best experience, and they also come to share their Ethiopia's experience in the military area.
Thank you so much, Gosai. So let me come back to Dasta. So Africa, we're a continent with enormous potential, resources, and other potentials, and significant and sizable population we have. But we have still challenges, especially the peace and security, and we have failed to create, as a continent, and a Pan-Africanism kind of defense force. This is Ethiopia's initiative to preparing this conference to bring those defense force ministers. So what kind of advantage such kind of conference would bring Africa, especially to establish a continental or a Pan-African based defense force? What's your reflection on this?
Well, one of the very crucial things about peace and security is its spillovers to neighboring countries. Say, for example, if whenever one of your neighbors is at war or going through a conflict, that situation spills over to you. So when they are at peace, you are benefiting. And when they are within a conflict or going through a difficult time, there will be multiple of situations that will be addressing you too. So when countries in Africa, what actually Ethiopia has been doing for many years is creating a solidarity among each other and building, as Gosai have been mentioning, experience sharing and even intelligence sharing among each other, and standing for similar aspirations, and protecting and even tackling some of the issues of transboundary criminals and even human trafficking and so on, insurgency. All this, if they stood together, they could even change the situation at hand. Some even tend to describe the Eastern Africa as a very volatile region. But if they come together and stand in unison, I think it won't be even out of hand. It has been seen even over the past years in Somalia. Peace and tranquility have been gained through the concerted efforts of Ethiopia and the AMISOM and ATMIS together. And I think they can change the scenario of Africa. So Ethiopia is taking this initiative. I think even I am well aware that those participants have been mentioning Ethiopia's good faith and initiation, goodwill to maintain what is at hand and even to make it a very brighter future for the Africans and the next generation, and for sure to see the Africa we want.
Sure, yeah. So another issue is, as you followed closely, the defense minister who came to participate this conference, they visited various security agencies, as Ethiopia has embarked on a massive security reform. They visited, the Ethiopian National Defense Force headquarters and other reformed security agencies, including the artificial intelligence. So what were their reflection and what were their impression in general about Ethiopia's reform and its openness even for them to show its security agencies? Yeah.
Okay, thank you. During the stay in Addis, the participants visited, for example, Ethiopian Air Force and also the Ethiopian Federal Police and Artificial Intelligence Institute, as well as National Intelligence Security Service. This is the initiative of Ethiopian government to open its door to other African brothers and sisters to show the best experience Ethiopia has in terms of like strengthening its military capacity, military armaments and other things which is help to combat like terrorism and other crimes. For example, one of the issue raised during their visit was using artificial intelligence. Ethiopia is advancing its capability in terms of like countering cyber attack. This is one of the issue and it is very important that African countries want to share from Ethiopia. And Ethiopia in all advanced its military through technology. For example, when we see Addis Ababa is a capital city of Ethiopia as well as the seat of African Union, and they impressed by what activity Ethiopia has done over the past 6 years, especially by making reforms in all these security institutions. Another issue is they were impressed by like how Ethiopia is using such kinds of advanced technology, and they want to share this experience from Ethiopia. They also impressed by what Ethiopian Federal Police is doing in the aim of just making Addis Ababa a safe place to every diplomat and for the residents of Addis Ababa. This is through using technology and enhancing capacity of military officials.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much, Gosai. Okay, let's start just in conclusion. You know, Ethiopia has a historical legacy, as you mentioned earlier, about its contribution for peacekeeping mission in even in Africa and different countries like Rwanda and other countries. So in another time, which is in the modern time, especially we can mention last week's a conference which brought African brothers together, especially defense ministers, to deal or to discuss on the security matters of the continent. So what's your understanding, what's your comment in this case, what Ethiopia is doing at this time, especially in a recent time, and also how to assess, you know, there is a global situation, for instance, Africa needs its voice and Africa needs its engagement at the UN level, especially the UN Security Council and other continental, global activity. So what's your reflection in general in this case?
Yeah, as I have been mentioning earlier, one of the very firm standards of Ethiopia that has never been changed throughout the years is that it is advocacy for Pan-Africanism and for the unity of Africa. Despite any change in regime change or government changes over the years, the stand of Ethiopia for African unity and African prosperity and African Pan-Africanism is always the same. For example, Ethiopia has been saying that what is being observed in Somalia recently is a provocation, and it is not welcome for the peace and stability of the region. Ethiopia still maintains its aspiration, its good stance, its goodwill, and its initiation for a very strong peace and security forces and personnel in the African Union. And the countries and the representatives who attended the conference has already shared their testimonies how they found it, how helpful, how encouraging it was, even to see the surveillance, the technological advancement that Ethiopia has acquired over the years in its air force, in its urban crime protection, and so on. So this has to be shared to our brothers and sisters in the African continent. This is how we can grow together, defend our enemies, and so on. And the reforms that Ethiopia has been undertaking in the security apparatus can benefit many of the African countries in this regard. And the African Union can look into it and even make it a very solid one, so that every country can benefit from such a very huge paramount role that Ethiopia is playing in the region, I think.
Thank you so much. So Gosai, just another final question, and probably you can add for this question. As we said, Ethiopia as a whole, the state of the African Union and many international organizations, it has its own responsibility and continue to contribute for the regional and continental peace and stability. So that's demonstrated, even demonstrated in the conference. What do you say in this case?
Okay, thank you. Maybe later you will show us maybe the impression of the participants of this meeting. My reflection on this is many of the participants expressed that Ethiopia is among one of the countries that many African countries proud of, because of Ethiopia has a rich military army. For example, when we see the Ethiopian Air Force, it has 80 years of experience. So these are many activities that the participants want to share. And another issue is Ethiopia is one of the countries that playing a crucial role in terms of ensuring peace and stability in the region, and doing exemplary work, like just by making regional integration, just enhancing trade, and another issue. So this is part of the development, and it's part of the peace and security in the region. This is one important issue the participants was raised. Another issue is also Ethiopia is doing very excellent job in terms of enhancing its military capacity, and they also want to share this experience and replicate to their country. And one of the important issues also raised was Ethiopia is a leading country, especially in ensuring peace and stability in Africa and beyond. No one cannot deny this role that Ethiopia is playing. For example, this is what was raised by the participant, and this is important. Ethiopia is already playing a crucial role, and then continue to play this role in the region as far as the issue of peace and security concerned. And another issue is also there are standby forces in Africa in 5 regions, for example. In East Africa, standby force, North Africa, Southern Africa, and others. All these forces are not operational. These lag behind in terms of fighting terrorism, fighting piracy. So the African countries come to stand together to fight such kinds of crimes and terrorism, and also they have to come in common position in the global world.
Okay, viewers, let me show you the expression of the defense ministers from African countries after they visited Ethiopia's security apparatus. That, as we said earlier, Ethiopia has made tremendous reform on its security agencies in general.
Ethiopia is a major troop contributing country to the United Nations, to Africa. We've known the role of Ethiopia in Somalia. We've known the role of Ethiopia in many other conflict zones, not only in Africa, but around the world. So it's very important that the other countries of Africa, including even those who are troop or police contributing countries, right, can come here to share experiences with Ethiopia, because Ethiopia is a leader. Ethiopia is also the host of the African Union, which is actually the continental umbrella. So from all angles, It's very, very important that people come here to learn from what Ethiopia has achieved in terms of peace and security, and then what they can do, to support the continental efforts as the headquarters of the African Union.
The Air Force facility is amazing. This is the first of its kind that I've seen in Africa, and I believe that the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia should be commended for a work well done. Ethiopia plays a very historical role in peacekeeping and the stability in most of the regions in peacekeeping. And just like Uganda, Ethiopia, the birth of Pan-Africanism was given back here in Ethiopia. So where a problem in one country is a problem for Ethiopia. So we want to thank Ethiopia for being one of the troops contributing countries in Africa, and their role for peacekeeping is commendable.
First of all, may I congratulate the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia for what they are doing. They are very now advanced in the artificial intelligence researches, which certainly may profit other African brothers.
This is all about our today's weekly program on current affairs. Next week we'll come to you with other programs. So we would like to invite you to check our website, our social media for other updates and information. Thank you so much.